Danny watches a lot of television and movies. John does not. Listen in as she tells him about what she's watching, and he tries to make sense of it all. Welcome to Watching My Stories with Danny and John.
Hello, everyone.
Hi, everybody.
I'm Danny.
And I'm John.
And this is Watching My Stories. Welcome to self-quarantine day number one.
Oh, yep.
We're not technically doing it, but our schedule has worked out that we can do it. So we're just going to pitch in and help the world. John is in transition, leaving one job and going to a new one next week. So
I have a week gap, so I'm unemployed right now.
Technically.
Yep.
So I work from home, so we're both just going to stay home all week and hopefully avoid the nastiness that's out there. Yeah.
And
so
anytime one of us says, hey, you want to do something, the other doesn't want to do it, they're like, nope, self-quarantining.
Yeah, neither one of us ever wants
No,
to do it.
that's true. That's no danger there.
But
actually.
I am avoiding movie theaters for sure, even though they are they're selling only half of the theater and that sort of thing. It's still just not worth it to me right now. So
yeah.
Anyway, all right. So it's been, I think, 3 weeks since our last release. I have a lot to talk about. Some things I'm going to try and skip through, and some things obviously will turn into a bigger discussion as usual. And then in our Actors Corner, we are going to talk about Charlize Theron.
Woohoo!
So that should be fun. Okay, first movie I'm going to talk about is Onward.
I didn't see it.
The new Pixar movie. Voices of Chris Pratt and Tom Holland, which I'll tell you what, I'm a little annoyed at Chris Pratt getting used for so much voice work. It was one thing when he was doing Lego Movie because that's what you associate his voice with now. But now it's like every time he does other stuff, I think Lego Movie. And it's like there are other people in the world, man. Like, let's give it to someone. And even Tom Holland, he voiced that Spies in Disguise that just came out with Will Smith. And it's like now we're using him again. Plus his character is all voice, when he's Spider-Man, because when he's in his garb, it's just it's kind of like Ryan Reynolds with Deadpool. You get used to hearing his voice all the time. Anyway, they both did a pretty good job of changing their voices just a little bit in this. But anyway, that was just my little
Okay.
Okay, so there's also Julia Louis-Dreyfus and Octavia Spencer. They're also in this. So it's a very, very cute, wonderful Pixar film. It's so creative. They're just, I think we've talked about before, you and I, we love Pixar. The way that they can evoke such emotions. And again, if you have Disney Plus, go watch the shorts. And you'll see that in 4 minutes, you can go on an entire journey of love and loss.
You'll laugh, you'll cry, you'll be mad, and you'll be happy.
Yeah. It's really incredible.
It's the whole Megillah in every episode.
Right. I am going to say real quick to interrupt. I'm having some throat issues lately, so if I get raspy or sound weird, that's why. So okay. I apologize in advance. Anyway, so this is directed by Dan Scanlon. He wrote it too. This was a tribute to his brother. They lost their father when they were very young and had no memories of their father. And then they found a cassette tape that they assumed had their dad's voice on it, and they wanted to hear. They had never heard their dad's voice, and they listened through the whole thing. And then finally, he came on this tape, and he just said, "Hello, goodbye." And that was it. That's what they had of their dad. And so this journey is all about that brotherhood and the search for the father. So the story goes, it's a very adorable world. It starts out that this was this magical world with fairies and wizards and all these magical creatures. And we go 100 years into the future or something like that. It might even be 400. I don't remember. But they figured out one of these magical creatures invented the light bulb. Well, now you have electricity, and they've invented all the stuff that we live with today, their iPhones and all of that. So magic has gone away because basically technology took its place. But there's still all these magical creatures living in this world. They just don't do magic anymore. And Ian and Barley are the two brothers. And they, again, they lost their dad. Julia Louis-Dreyfus plays their mom at a very young age. And Ian's very kind of obsessed with his dad, just wanting to know about him and be like him and all of that. And he's turning 16. It's his 16th birthday. And his mom goes, oh, there's a present for you that your dad wanted me to keep until you were both over 16. And they give it to him. And it's a magic staff. And there's like a magic phrase. What are they called? Whatever.
Abracadabra.
Yeah, that they have to say. And it turns out if they do it, they can bring their dad back for 24 hours. And the spell gets interrupted in the middle of it. And so the dad only comes back from the feet to the waist. And it's just this pair of legs walking around. And Barley, which is Chris Pratt's character, he's like this, he's what today we would consider, I'm so sorry, everybody. What we would consider like a Dungeons and Dragons type person, but it's real. Like what he studies and what he plays are what really used to happen in their world, with all the magic.
Okay.
So he's kind of this magical expert. And they decide that he knows how to fix this, how to make it happen. And they decide to go on this adventure in order to finish the spell and get the rest of their dad back before the 24 hours is up.
He figures out a way to do it, but he can't do it from home?
Right. They have to go get this special gem. They have to go find this gem to make the staff work again.
Oh, okay.
And so they go on this journey throughout this world, and it's interesting. Ian has this list of things he wants to do with his dad, learn to drive, play catch, like different things that he wants to do. And so he's really hopeful for all of that. And you're on this journey with them to try and get, and the funny thing is they have this pair of legs that's going around with them, which is their dad. And they dress up the top with like pillows and stuff, so it looks like a person. It kind of reminds you of Weekend at Bernie's, like this thing walking around.
Oh, that's great.
And that's kind of it. It's about this adventure, and then it's about these brothers discovering each other. And I can't give it. I don't want to give it away because it's a wonderful discovery at the end, and you will cry. Period. I don't know who wouldn't. It's very touching and something that I think again, like I don't have a direct connection with personally.
Sure.
But that doesn't matter. Again, it's Pixar. They invoke a lot of things anyways, but there are a lot of people who I think have gone through this very thing and will definitely be touched by it in their own way. You and I both have elevated levels of empathy. So of course, if they want you to cry, we're going to cry more than most people. Right. Exactly. Right. Yeah. And it's sometimes even if they don't want you to cry, we'll cry. Right. And it's a lot of fun. They came up with really fun ways in this world of the magic and the spells and the different people that they have to go through and stuff. It's a lot of fun. It's a typical Pixar. And then of course it always tugs at your heartstrings at the end. Very cool. Sorry I missed it. Yeah. I'm really excited for you to see it. Yeah. Okay. So that's Onward. I would definitely check it out. It's obviously in theaters now. Are we still giving stars? We haven't done that in a long time. Okay. I know. So you'll just go see it. Yeah, I just kind of recommend it. Okay. Or say wait until you're home or, whatever. So if you kind of recommend it, is that 4 stars? And if you really recommend it, it's 5 stars? Probably. Okay. Yeah. This I definitely recommend to everyone. I think kids would really love it. It's such an adventure and it's a great sibling movie. So there's a lot of hype out there for this movie. Would you say the hype is Yes. Is right on. Yeah. Again, I think it would take a lot for me to not like a Pixar movie. So you always have to take that with a grain of salt coming from me. I'm sure there's a bias. But it's like I can imagine young kids really loving it because it is so fanciful. Mm-hmm. I think kids who have siblings, this is a really incredible movie to see, to learn about the bond of siblings. Whether you still have both parents or not. It's an incredible thing to see. Yeah, bond with your sibling and appreciate your parents. Right. Yeah. And I think that starts young kids would kind of get it, but then as they go on, they'll really get it. And then for us adults, there's so much to connect with in this that it's a lot of fun. Okay, cool. Yeah. Go see it, everybody. Definitely. Okay, so moving on to the next movie is Invisible Man. Woohoo! Or it's The Invisible Man. I always do that.
Didn't see that one either.
Yeah, this is so my type of movie, so I had to see it. Number one, Elizabeth Moss to me is in my top 3 now.
Oh yeah, they did this one as a suspense thriller.
Yeah. So Blumhouse has taken a lot of these, like they just did Hansel and Gretel, and they're taking a lot of these stories that we know and
classics,
they're twisting them.
Quotes.
Yeah. So this was great. So like I said, Elizabeth Moss, definitely one of my top 3 actresses ever. And the way they did this was she was in this really abusive, controlling relationship with this really rich, like, tech guy, played by Oliver Jackson Cohen. He was in that. Okay, so the story this time they took was she was in this this relationship with this guy, who I was saying Oliver Jackson Cohen. He was in that House on Haunted Hill, or the
Hill House.
Yeah, whatever that show was on Netflix, it was great. He was good in that.
I think there was both of those, actually. Yeah. So who knows?
This was a show on Netflix. Anyway, so she escapes. She escapes him in the middle of the night, and she goes into hiding with a friend. And a couple weeks later, the news reports that he had killed himself. And meanwhile, though, she had been feeling like she's being watched and all that sort of stuff. And that's kind of it, is that this tech guy figures out a way to make him invisible, and he stalks her still. He does weird things, or she's staying with friends and he'll beat them up, or it's all done in a really cool, suspenseful way, where she has to fight. She has to figure out how to fight this invisible person.
Okay, so the guy, he didn't kill himself. He just went invisible?
Right. Then there's this whole storyline at the end of a twist. There's this huge twist, and you aren't really sure what to believe.
Okay.
You really don't know what to believe. They give you kind of 2 options as to how the story really went, and I think it's up to you how to decide, or what to decide to do. I side with her, and so whatever she said happened is what I'm going to believe happened, because I was with her from the beginning. But there are other people, and my sister saw it too, and she just wasn't too sure about that. So it's done in a really cool way, and it's not overly creepy or scary. It's a very more mental, playing with your mind thing of, once you believe her that that he's around, you're just like, okay, let's figure out how to get him out of here, and how is he doing it? And we are told how he does it, and it's all very cool and very, it's just one of those where you're excited to fight, to get to the point where she's going to get to kick his ass, or whatever it is, I thoroughly enjoyed it. I was in it the whole time. I believed the whole thing. Good people all around in it. Yeah. I was really happy with it. And I guess it was the biggest movie in the country for a couple weekends. So.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that is Invisible Man, The Invisible Man, the new one with Elizabeth Moss. Definitely worth checking out.
Okay.
And the director who directed this, he did the original Saw. He did Insidious. He is used to doing the scary or horror movies. And so there's definitely a twinge of, you can feel it, but it's not one of, again, there's no gore or anything. It's more of that psychological thriller.
Yeah. Okay. See, I might actually be interested in that.
Yeah. I don't think there's none of that where you're on the seat of your pants. Why do I do that all the time? I do that every time I have to say that.
I have bad news. I'm always on the seat of my pants.
Why is that always my phrase? What's the real phrase?
Edge of your seat.
Oh my God, I don't know why.
This thing had me on the seat of my pants the whole time.
I've said that on here before.
I know. We all know.
I think it is a real saying. It must be.
Well, it is now.
Okay, so it's not one of those where you freak out, where you're you're freaked out that he's going to pop up somewhere. You kind of know he's there somewhere already. And so you're just kind of like, you want her to find him so that she can do something to him, So it was good. I thought it was really a well done, well thought out, and different approach to the Invisible Man. And like I said, with that twist, you're just kind of like, what happened?
Yeah, see, I don't have a problem with them doing updates of classic movies or remakes if they're either different enough that you can tell it's, that it's loosely based on it, or if it's done really well, just the whole story retold and done really, really well.
Right.
And it sounds like this is just done really well.
Yeah, and again, I have to give it to Elizabeth Moss because she's in a room alone yelling at a corner.
Yeah.
And if it's not someone of her caliber, it's not a good movie.
It's not believable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you have to have the right person in there. And I've said this since the first episode of Handmaid's Tale. I will watch her read from a telephone book. I don't give a crap. She can do no wrong. Yeah. And I knew that in Mad Men, but Handmaid's Tale definitely sealed the deal.
Good.
Okay. Let's see. Okay. Next movie is one that we both watched. Well, that you watched eventually.
I get to participate.
I was home one day needing something to watch, and I decided to try Charlie's Angels.
Oh, yeah.
I fell in love with it. I watched it the next day.
Yep.
Then I said, I'm going to buy it. I watched it the next day. I watched it the next day. I think then I took a couple days off and we were hanging out and you were doing something. And I was like, well, I'm going to watch it while we're sitting here hanging out. Mm-hmm. And you ended up getting pulled into it. Thank goodness. I think I've only watched it once since then.
Really?
But I'm just going to give the backstory with my Charlie's Angels affection.
Okay.
Is, obviously watched it as a kid, the show. Mm-hmm. But the Drew Barrymore, Cameron Diaz, Lucy Liu remake or first movie, I fell in love with. Loved the sequel. Loved those three. Loved the stories that they gave to their people. I thought Demi Moore of being the villain of ex-angel villain in the sequel was great. I give it up that they were over the top in their action sequences and that sort of thing. But I still loved how McG shot the movies, how they looked. They were so bright and colorful. I loved that Drew didn't want to give the angels guns, so they had to use their brains and, however else they could fight. I loved the friendship and the sisterhood between the three. So when I heard they were coming out with another movie, I was not thrilled about it. Mm-hmm. But Elizabeth Banks wrote and directed this movie, and when she was promoting it, she said that this was in the same universe as the previous one. It was just a continuation of the show, then the movies. This is just set now, right? Mm-hmm. And I was kind of like, okay, let's see. And then I remember in the preview seeing the costumes from the Drew Barrymore movies, and I was like, oh, okay, so we're giving an homage to that, which is great. But I didn't see it in theaters. I don't remember what was going on then, but I just didn't. And I wish I had, because I love it now. And I wish I had supported them more, because the movie did flop and there might not be more. So that's my backstory with the whole Charlie's Angels thing. And I am so glad I saw this. And it is so good. It is so... She didn't just pay homage. She really took the world in which Charlie's Angels has existed for 40 years and grew it. So the show took place in California. The previous movies were only in California, or that's where the agency was.
All the stuff happened.
Now they have taken the agency international. Mm-hmm. There are lots and lots of angels, lots of Bosleys, which is now a rank within the organization. So Elizabeth Banks is a Bosley, Patrick Stewart is a Bosley, Michael Strahan is a Bosley. There's lots of them all over the world, and this whole kind of scenario and how the agency worked, the Townsend agency worked in California, has been taken global, and it's kind of wonderful. That they have all these safe houses all over the world. They have all of their whatever offices, I guess. I don't know, with their weapons and cars and all that stuff on different places in the world. So this one takes place in Europe. Kind of starts, I think, in Hamburg. We go to Berlin. We do a whole bunch of stuff. The angels in this one are Kristen Stewart. Naomi Scott is not yet an angel, but she's one of the three. And the chick that I didn't know about is Ella Balinska, the tall one. She's fantastic. What else can I say? The action is real. Not real, but it's not over the top at all. It you could easily put in a dude in any of the action sequences and you're watching a dude action movie. Like, there was no difference in how they were. It was
plausible. It was realistic. Right. It wasn't the over the top stuff from the Drew Barrymore.
Yeah, even like Mission Impossible over the top. Yeah. The story was great. There are good people in it. Like I said, Patrick Stewart and the one villain assassin guy who never says a word is really good.
Yeah, that guy is, for not having a line. Right. That guy is, what a great role and what a great performance.
Yeah.
Hate that guy. Yeah. Creepy, but fantastic.
And I think we both agreed we were not huge Kristen Stewart fans. I liked her in Panic Room when she was a kid. I'm not a Twilight fan, so I didn't like any of that. I tried, and I didn't like her character and stuff. So, and honestly, I probably haven't seen much else of hers. But I liked her in this. I liked her character. It seemed to suit her really well. Naomi Scott, we've known, well, she was in Power Rangers, which I know you didn't see, but Aladdin, and she was a lot of fun in this. She was kind of that, newbie, breath of fresh air type person in this. And this the other chick, Ella Balinska, she is fantastic. And when I looked her up, she's like gone to all these like acting fight school. Like, she's done a lot of fight training, so you could tell like she was in those action sequences and stunts. There was a lot that she could do herself, so that was really cool. I don't know what else to say. Here's my biggest love of this movie, and the thing that it actually took the 3 or 4 times before I don't cry anymore. The beginning, when they are rolling the credits and the main song, it's all pictures of little girls around the world doing dirt biking and whatever it is that they're doing, and it's just all these little girls that are, it's just a random thing. But I think Elizabeth Banks was like, this is about female empowerment and them being strong and smart and all this stuff, so she showed all these girls. Then at the end, after the movie's done, there's all these clips throughout the credits, and again, I was a mess the first time I was watching it. But it was Danica Patrick teaching the new angels how to drive. It was Ronda Rousey teaching the new angels how to fight. There's a plane scene where they're jumping out of a plane, and it's Chloe Kim, the Olympian, and oh gosh, I just blanked, the gymnast Olympian. Yeah. And Hallie Stanfield, and the chick from Riverdale's in there too. But it's like they're showing these women doing what is normally a guy thing. This race car pulls up and you think some dude's gonna get out of it, and it's like, nope, we've got Danica Patrick, or whatever it is. And it just, again, it was this wonderful nod to women today, and that we can do this. And this whole movie was kind of like that. This band of women, if we group together, if we become friends, if we become co-workers, if we rely on each other, which we can do so much. And it's a wonderful thing to watch. I've had these few moments, and I can say that less than a handful still, but in the last 10 years, of these movies that finally get it right, whether it's Ghostbusters or, if you want to say, Wonder Woman, and these women are truly empowered and strong and beautiful and smart, and that's all that matters in the film. It's not about finding the guy because they're strong and smart and beautiful. This is one of those films that gets it so right, and it flopped. And I just want to get to this point because promoting the film, Elizabeth Banks said, if we don't get our money back on this, it proves that people in this country still can't support a female-driven film, and they did not make even their budget back when it was in theaters. So my goal is to put this out there so that maybe they can start to make their money back from rentals or buying it, because it's a fantastic movie. It's a lot of fun, and I'm going to let John kind of get to all that because obviously I'm digging deeper than he will because of how it made me feel as a woman. But it's I would want all girls to see this because it's very much, you can tell it's like the Naomi Scott plays a very smart coder, so it's really promoting chicks getting into coding and
technically savvy.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's good for young girls to see. It's good for women today of any age to see, and I just want people to get all of that while you're watching it, but then you can also just sit back and really enjoy it because it's really fun.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, go ahead. You can go.
Oh, man. There's a lot to unpack there. But, I'm not going to dive in as in-depth as you did.
Yeah.
I'm just going to give a couple, points of view, right? When I first saw this movie coming out and the previews for it, there were two things really working against it for me personally. And it has nothing to do with the male-female thing. I not only was I not a fan of Kristen Stewart, I actually didn't like her. She for a long time, I saw Panic Room. I didn't really care for her in that.
Aww.
But then it was like, and I'm so not a Twilight person. I didn't see whatever.
Yeah.
But I saw her on talk shows or whatever, and she had that, look at me, pay attention to me, but leave me alone thing, like down pat. And that just turned me off.
Huh. Okay.
So I did not like her.
Okay.
Wildly unfair to her.
Sure.
But that's
sure.
But that's what we do with movie stars. That's what we do with celebrities, right? You make up your mind based on you judge them, and you make up your mind based on just a handful of experiences, which aren't personal. They're just what you see.
Okay.
Unfair to her. I'll be perfectly honest with that. The other thing it had going against it, from my perspective, was the first Drew Barrymore, Cameron Diaz, Lucy Liu version I saw. I liked it for the most part, but it got over the top kind of fast. And then the sequel, just for me, there were lots of scenes that were a little hard to watch because it was so over the top.
What, Demi Moore in a bikini?
That scene was not hard for me to watch. And I'll leave it there.
Yeah.
So I kind of had this in the back of my head. Okay, it's just going to be, where do they go from those? They probably have to try to outdo it. That was just kind of a preconceived notion I had.
Gotcha.
So I really didn't have an interest in seeing the movie because of Kristen Stewart and because of that. You gushed about it so many times, so frequently, I thought, okay, if you're going to have it on when I'm around, I'll give it a shot. I was very, very pleasantly surprised. Not only did I find myself really liking the movie, I found myself kind of liking Kristen Stewart.
I know.
Which...
it was a good character for her.
I still need more therapy to kind of come around to exactly what is going on in my mind with that. But yeah, And it's not really that that I was watching it too, and okay, I don't mind Kristen Stewart. I actually kind of liked what she was doing and the character she was playing. I'm like, wow, okay, this is great. Super, super female centric and female empowering. And here's the thing for me.
But it's not in your face.
That's you just stole my thunder.
I'm sorry.
That's the hard thing that this movie pulls off.
Yeah. It's
so female centric, so female empowering, but it's not in your face.
Right.
If you're a guy watching this, if you mind what you're seeing or you're irritated because of the woman power, you have issues.
Yeah, bye, Felicia.
Exactly. There's just no saving you in this world because it's done in such a great way. Yeah. That you have to like it and have to respect what they're doing.
Right.
I really, really liked it. I'm not going to say I loved it. I liked it so much more than I thought I would, and I really, really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I think it's something that people need to give a shot to, because again, there are a lot of callbacks. There are pictures of the TV show characters. There are pictures of Drew's character, and Jacqueline Smith makes an appearance.
Yep.
Which is fantastic. So, Elizabeth Banks really, really took this on in a smart, kind of loving way.
Yeah. She deserves much more credit than she's getting and probably going to get for this.
Sure.
But yeah,
because she directed an action movie. It's great.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. That's not over the top and not in your face.
Right.
But ends up being really good.
Yeah.
That's look, Michael Bay can't do that.
No, not anymore.
There's a ton of male directors out there that can't pull this off.
Right.
So kudos to her.
For sure.
So, and I just got to say, there's one scene in the movie. So you mentioned the stuff up front, the clips and the pictures and stuff of women where, you kind of, I can totally understand welling up a little bit for that stuff. Mm-hmm. And certainly at the end with the Danica Patrick thing and Ronda Rousey and stuff like that. But there's one scene in the movie that really hit me and I got misty-eyed. And I don't want to spoil it for people, but there's a scene where you wonder how the hell they're going to get out of what they're in. And all I'm going to say is women save the day. And it's unexpected and it's just...
It's like Band of Sisters.
Super fantastic.
Yeah.
It's just, you don't see it coming and then boom, there it is. And it's like, oh man, that's awesome.
Yeah.
You go, girl.
Yeah.
So,
good.
Yeah, I liked it.
Good. I'm glad. Okay. We spent a lot of time talking about that. So we're going to kind of fast forward through the next couple because I wanted you also have caught up and watched a couple old movies that I've already talked about on here that I thought maybe you could just spend a couple minutes giving your thoughts.
I'll spend as little time as possible. How's that?
Okay. Aladdin. You saw the new Aladdin with Will Smith.
I did. Again, I heard a lot of stuff about this, and I heard mostly negative stuff about Will Smith in this.
I know.
And it was, so I kind of went into this like, okay, here we go. I'm not a big Will Smith fan anyway.
Ugh, sacrilegious.
Somewhere in my mind now, he's sitting right next to Kristen Stewart on a couch because I actually really liked him in this. And I didn't care that he was blue or whatever, the issue they had with Blueface or whatever the problem was. I really liked him in this.
Yeah.
And I liked the movie.
Yeah.
I heard some of the songs previously, and I knew about the other version and that sort of thing.
Yeah, he's never seen the animated version.
Yeah.
So that also plays into it. Yeah.
This thing had everything. I really liked the guy who was playing the hero.
Aladdin.
I guess that would be Aladdin.
Yeah. Naomi
Scott. I'm starting to have a thing for her.
Starting? I think it took you 5 minutes into that movie where you were like,
yeah, she's got it all.
Yeah,
she really
great.
Does.
Yeah.
And I mean that in the most respectful way.
Yeah.
I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I think she's gorgeous.
Yeah.
But she's got a great voice. Mm-hmm. She's got really good stage presence, if you will, or scene presence.
Yep.
She's just fantastic.
Yeah.
And then Will Smith and the villains in this are perfect, I think, for those roles.
I think so too. Yeah.
So, and the monkey's fantastic. So, yeah, I liked it so much more than I thought I would.
I'm so glad you did. Yeah.
Yep.
It was one of those that, again, without seeing the animated version, I think you go into it with an advantage because that's where people were getting hung up. Is we've watched the animated version now for 20 years or whatever, and you can't get Robin Williams out of your head. You can't get certain things out of your head. And like I said, when I saw this, I felt like it should have been called Jasmine because I felt like this was much more about Jasmine's journey than Aladdin's, which again, I just loved that much more. So yeah, this was another night where we were hanging out. You were doing something else and I was like, I'm going to put on Aladdin.
Yep.
And you got caught up into it.
Turns out there are a lot of nights lately where I don't get done what I wanted to do, but I end up seeing a good movie.
Yeah.
So,
okay. The next one you finally saw is RocketMan, the Taron Egerton, Elton John movie.
Yes.
What'd you think of that?
So, I'm not sure what to say about this. I enjoyed it. Taron Egerton is just
so good.
Fantastic. And if you didn't know, so there are scenes in there where you swear to God they figured out a way to get a young Elton John.
Yeah.
He's just that, he's just something about him. And it's partly looks, but it's persona, and it's just, he nailed it, I think. It was a little bit long for me. I don't think it needed to be as long as it is.
Okay.
I'm not going to say it dragged, but it was just kind of this. So any of these, and especially if you know what actually happened in real life, you know, the stories, you're just waiting for, the trauma to start, the bad incident or incidents or whatever happened in real life. You're just kind of waiting for those, what led up to that and that sort of thing. It seemed like they spent a lot of time on that stuff, and maybe it's because that's what made Elton.
Yeah. And he struggled with it for so long. He didn't get sober until 20 years ago. So
sure,
it was a long time of all of that.
As you know, I'm not a fan of tension and turmoil and that sort of thing, right? And there was an awful lot of that in this movie.
Yeah.
So it wore me out a little bit.
Okay.
But at the end of the movie, I really liked it.
Okay.
And I felt
soundtrack.
Oh man, you forget how many fantastic songs Elton John and Bernie Taupin made.
Yeah.
And they just that relationship, and especially seeing if it went through anything like in real life what it went through in the movie, it just makes you appreciate that so much more.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. And Taran's voice was, again, you think it's Elton singing.
You do.
And
you do.
Taran
and then to realize that, I don't want to knock on Rami Malek, but that a lot of the vocals in the movie, the Queen movie,
were not him.
Were not him.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And these were all Taron Egerton.
Yeah. Where's his Oscar?
Well, holy smokes. There should have been some special award. If they weren't going to give him the Oscar for it, there should have been some special award, because that's to take one of the top pop stars of all time, right? And be able to pull it off to the point where you think you're hearing a soundtrack from Elton John,
right?
And you find out, no, that's all Taron Egerton. Super amazing.
Yep.
I mean, that's just incredible. So kind of disappointed he didn't get more recognition for this.
Yeah. He got the Golden Globe, but everyone knows I was pissed about Rami's whole run. I didn't think it was deserved. But I think what happened was this was 6 months later, and people they were like, well, we just gave this guy who did a musical biopic all the stuff. Like, we don't want to do that again, so it was timing, because he deserved it way more.
Yeah, I think he Taron, I think, kind of was on the receiving end of fallout.
Right.
From
everyone.
For Rami getting so much, and people, I'm not going to tear him down and say it wasn't deserved, although I don't think it was deserved. But a lot of people, he got all that, and then they found out it wasn't even him singing, that sort of thing, and they're like, well, come on. So then several months later, there's this, and those people are going to be like, you going to do this again?
Right.
So totally unfair to Taron Egerton, but that's kind of the situation. Yeah, it's timing.
Yeah.
Right? If this had been a year or two later, and it came out early on that this was all Taron Egerton,
right,
probably different story.
I think so. I definitely think so. Yeah.
Unfortunate, but I'm not going to say a great movie. It's a good movie with a great performance by Taron Egerton.
Yes. Well, and I think everyone who was in it with him, Dallas Bryce Howard, Bryce Dallas Howard, playing his mom. What's his face? The bodyguard. Playing the villain,
I don't know his name.
And Jamie Bell playing Bernie, they were all.
That guy was really good.
Yeah,
I really enjoyed him. The bodyguard who was playing the music executive, hated that guy.
Yeah,
and you're supposed to.
Yeah,
and I think in real life, everybody hates that guy. Probably, if he's at all like that, everybody hates him anyway.
Oh, but the real person,
not
the actor. Yeah,
no, people love the actor. I know that, and he's fantastic. And this is probably a really good performance, because I've heard only good things about that guy.
Right.
But in real life, that music executive has to be hated. Well hated.
I hope he's dead.
Yes, if he's still alive, he should be hated. If not,
right.
He should be hated dead.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So
right.
I just wanted to give you the opportunity to, say you saw those and go from there.
Yeah. Thank you.
Good. Okay. Okay. So we're good 40 minutes into this. I still have a lot of television to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
So I think what we're going to do is just jump to the Actors Corner, do Charlize Theron on this one, and then we're going to do a separate episode that's just for TV.
Okay.
And that way people still just have kind of their hour listening.
Sure.
Okay.
That's fine by me.
All right. So we're going to jump into the Actors Corner then. Oh, my.
Here.
Okay. So Charlize Theron, movies you love.
Okay. So movies I love, I got it down to 3.
Okay.
I was actually surprised going through this. There were a lot more of her movies.
There's so many. Yeah.
Well, there's a lot, but there's more that I've seen than I thought I had.
Oh, good.
So I had a really good. This was a good one for me.
Okay.
I really liked The Devil's Advocate.
Me too.
Oh, okay. I thought for some reason I thought you didn't like it.
Oh no, I love it.
Yeah, and she had a tough role in that.
Yeah.
To play a woman who was kind of coming unglued.
Yeah.
And nobody believed her and that sort of thing. So I think she did a really good job. But I also really liked the movie.
Mm-hmm.
So another one was A Million Ways to Die in the West.
Yeah.
It turns out I'm just a huge Seth fan.
Yeah.
And her role in this was perfect,
Yeah, it was
tough.
kind of the first light role we saw her in, really.
Well, she was light and comedic, but
Yeah.
tough and strong, and
yeah.
really, really saved his ass several times, literally. But I think my favorite
I know.
is Long Shot.
Yeah.
Her and another Seth Rogen.
Yeah, Seth Rogen.
I thought they had great chemistry. I really did.
Okay.
For being two radically different people.
Yeah.
I thought they had great on-screen chemistry.
Yeah.
Not just because they had to, but I thought it was if they were just acting, it was fantastic. They've said in interviews that they get along great.
Yeah.
And that they had a good time and they really genuinely like each other. So
Yeah.
that was probably that. But I love the two of them together.
It's a great movie. That's also on my love. Because it's a great movie overall. It's a great romantic comedy. It's got everything. It's hysterically funny.
Yeah.
But then there's a lot of heart, a lot of heart.
A lot of feels.
You love his character so much, and you feel for her as well. So it's just all the way around really good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I really like it, and when it's on, I'll watch it.
Devil's Advocate, I want to get back to. That's under my like. She had right in a row. There was Devil's Advocate and Astronaut's Wife, and she was tormented in both of those. And I fell in love with her because I learned that she's such a good crier, and I appreciate people who can just cry and cry and cry. And in both of those, I saw her do that, and I was like, oh, she's amazing to be so good at everything. I just remember that about watching that going, man, she can cry. So yeah. I have A Million Ways to Die in the West under my secretly love.
Okay.
So,
Well, what about your loves?
So I have Long Shot and a movie that I will stop and watch anytime it's on, Trapped.
Okay, I don't know that one.
It's her. She's married to Stuart Townsend, who she was with for like 15 years in real life.
Oh wow!
So they were together on this, and then Kevin Bacon is the villain, and and Courtney Love's in it, and they get the two separate, and they are trying to get money out of them, and their little girl is kidnapped, and she's with Kevin Bacon. He's like forcing her to try and get money. So it's one of my type of movies. I love it. Lots of stress, lots of tension. But again, she's so good at it, and her and Kevin Bacon together is so wonderful. Trapped. If you haven't seen it, really good.
I don't know what happened to you. And sometimes I'm not sure how we're together because we're so different in what we like to watch and what entertains us. But
I know.
It's just weird, but I respect your opinion. I do.
It's a good one. To me, it's definitely worth it. I can watch it over and over and over again. Okay. Movies you like?
This was a little harder for me. I went with Hancock. I liked Hancock.
I don't really remember her in it because I think I've only seen it once or twice.
Yeah. So she plays his sister.
I have no idea.
Something like that. I haven't seen it. I saw it like twice when it first came out.
Yeah.
And then I haven't seen it since. But I know I liked it, and she was good in it. She plays somebody like him. I for some reason now I think it was his No, it wasn't his wife. I think it was his sister. Whatever. It turns out she has superpower too.
Oh, okay.
But she has totally downplayed it her whole life.
Okay.
And then for some reason he exposes her or whatever, and she gets pissed and tries to beat him up, whatever.
Okay.
And then Mighty Joe Young.
Oh, I never saw that.
Yeah, that was good.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So for my likes, I have Astronaut's Wife and Devil's Advocate. I put them both in here. I thought Astronaut's Wife was also a very interesting story. It was interesting.
Okay.
And I also put Bombshell in this. I think Bombshell's going to quickly become, like, I'm excited for it to come on the cable channels and I can watch it over and over again. Because, again, she's fantastic in it. But, it's just such an interesting story. I'll enjoy watching it. What?
Cable channels. The movie channels.
Oh,
right?
whatever.
It's okay.
Shut up.
It's okay. Well, you're probably thinking cable, Fox News, right?
Oh, no.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Movies you hate?
So, I'm Tully. I sat and tried to watch it. Well, I wasn't sitting. I was doing something, but I had it on and trying to give it a chance, and I didn't like it. So
here's the thing with Tully, and I spoke about it on here when I saw it. Yeah, it wasn't my favorite either. I think you have to have kids in order to really appreciate it, because people who have kids and watch it, they love it. Mm-hmm. And I think I just couldn't relate in the same way. She was fantastic in it, but I couldn't relate, and I figured out what was going on really early, the whole twist. So I was kind of like, okay.
Yeah. Well, so for me, I watch a movie to be entertained. I personally, and this is personal, right? This is just my choice. I don't like to watch a movie to feel bad for somebody else, right? That's not entertaining for me. That's real life. I feel bad for all kinds of people every day. So when I watch a movie, I want to escape from that.
Okay.
Right? So if it's just more of that, I'll save the time and not watch that movie.
Gotcha.
Regardless of how good the performance is. And look, I love her. I really do. But I'm just not going to watch that.
Okay.
And it couldn't. I gave it probably 10 or 15 minutes, and it started to be only that. And I'm like, nope.
Okay.
Nope.
Any others under hate?
No.
Mine was Reindeer Games. It's not that I hated it. I just didn't think her or Ben Affleck were dialed in enough. Like, it was all weird. And I didn't really like the movie itself. So,
yeah, I haven't seen it.
Yeah.
So now I'm not going to.
Yeah. Okay. Secretly Love.
So I don't know how big a part she had on this. She was listed on this. The Orville.
Oh. Yeah, I never saw her on. I'm sure she was on an episode or two. I don't know, but yeah, we watched like the first 3 or 4 episodes. So
yeah, and then we stopped watching, and I don't think it was because it wasn't. I don't think it wasn't.
You get, it's hard to pin you down to watch stuff, and so if we get so far behind, I give up on it too, because I'm, so that's kind of what happens.
Yeah. Okay.
That was it.
That's all I have.
Oh, so I had A Million Ways to Die in the West under Secretly Love, and I also have Fate of the Furious. So I like those movies. She was a good addition to it, and she's now going to be an F9 as well. She's in the 9th one.
Okay.
And so she's a good villain. And I really like seeing her in this sort of movie. So so that was fun.
Okay.
Embarrassed you haven't seen
Astronaut's Wife.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Mine are North Country, because supposedly that was wonderful. Won a bunch of stuff. And Mad Max. Her Mad Max, it won like everything that year, remember?
Yeah.
And I can honestly say I think I saw maybe some of Thunderdome. So I'm not real familiar with the Mad Max movies, because I was never a Mel Gibson fan. And so when this one came out and everyone said it was so good, I wanted to, but man, it's just, I don't know. Not my type of apocalypse. Like, I love apocalypse movies, but I assume that's what it is, right?
Too few zombies in this?
Yeah, well, I don't think there are any, right? But
no, there aren't. That was a joke.
Okay, so anyway, I feel like I want to see it. I just don't know when.
Okay.
So
I'm not seeing. I hadn't seen it. I have not seen it out of principle. I really liked the Mel Gibson Mad Max movies.
Oh,
and
So did a lot of and people are saying this was great. I mean
it might be, but
think of Charlie's Angels.
Very yeah. Is Naomi Scott in it?
All right, what are you adding to your watch list?
Bombshell, based on what you told me, you've talked about.
You'll love it. Yeah, you'll love it.
Yeah.
So I have 2. I have Mad Max. I think I do want to see it at some point. And Atomic Blonde, I never saw, and now a sequel's coming out. And so I think I'd like to support her enough to go see the first one and then be able to see the sequel. So I just want to talk about
go see the first one.
My
Where are you going to go?
I'm going to go to my living room.
You're going to go to the couch?
Yes. It's not that funny.
Oh, it is to me.
Oh, okay. So my honorable mentions for her. Obviously, the first time I ever saw her, That Thing You Do. You know, she was the girlfriend in that who falls in love with her dentist, which was just fantastic. She was so adorable in that. She was great in Cider House Rules, great in The Legend of Bagger Vance. Sweet November was such a, one of those 90s films that was going on back then where someone has to die. It was good. Her and Keanu were back together again. Monster, of course, when she won the Oscar for Monster. I think I've only seen it twice. It's a hard movie to watch, but again, she killed it. Literally. Oh, pun.
Oh. Is that her as Eileen Wuornos?
Yep.
Okay.
Young adult. I love her in the Snow White movies as the queen. She's really good in that.
Is that what the Huntsman's wife?
Snow White and the Huntsman. Yeah, she's the
Huntsman's wife.
She's the evil queen, and she's really good.
Okay.
And then I had Tully on here too. So yeah, she's got a ton of movies though. I mean, I was really surprised at how many there were that I haven't seen. Honestly, there's a lot that I haven't seen that I was like, oh my god, that one.
Well, and so here's the thing about her, and it kind of crept up on me partly while I was going through these to go through our list for Actors Corner, but also as listening to you talk. I'm now starting to think she may have the most broad range of performances out there because she's been persecuted, right? She's had to play tortured, but she's also been kick-ass, right? She's been in comedies. She's been in
dramas,
drama, suspense. And through it all, I don't think there's any movies out there that I'm not going to see because of her performance.
Oh, for sure.
Right?
Yeah.
She's always giving she's just a fantastic actor.
Yeah.
And in whatever she does. So, I can't think of anybody else really that has that broad a range of movies, really.
She goes for it. Just like in Mad Max, it's like, again, her performance is supposed to be amazing. So yeah.
Man,
very good.
Good for her.
Yeah, for sure. Her. Yeah. Okay, so we are going to cut it off here then. And if you're interested in TV I've watched in the last few weeks, go on to the next episode.
Okay.
All right, so we will be back soon.
Okay, thanks everybody.
Thanks, bye.